On this episode, join Andy and John on their journey home from Bizarro Lucha's A Cold Dead Body in the Woods. Welcome to the road home from wrestling.
Here in my car, I feel safest of all. I can lock all my doors, and it's the only way I live in cars.
Alright, well, we're headed home from another week at Bizarro Lucha. My name's Andy. I'm coming to you live to tape from the road home from Wrestling World Mobile Headquarters of the world. And I got John in the front seat. What up, John?
Guys, I am missing the Oscars to come to wrestling.
Oh, that's
nice.
nice.
How much I love professional wrestling.
No kidding. I didn't know the Oscars were tonight. Shit.
The Oscars were 1,000% tonight. I saw 118 movies last year, and I still decided I'm going to skip the show of shows and come to wrestling.
Okay. Well, for folks who are new to our show, John, will you kind of tell people what our show is? And I'll explain why we just almost died 3 times because, goddamn, I can't see anything. And just so you know, the noises that you're hearing are actual road noises. We're actually in the car on the road home, and it's raining like a son of a bitch, and I can't see anything. So, but tell folks who we are, John.
So we are the road home from wrestling, and our gimmick is that we literally record episodes on the road home from wrestling shows. And so we go to a lot of different independent shows around the area, and on our way home, we cover them and give our, our insight, and we kind of recap the event and give our pros and sometimes cons, but mostly pros.
Yeah, from a fan's perspective, and every once in a while we have a wrestler in the car. But tonight, no wrestlers, just decided to make it out to Bizarro Lucha for the first time. Now, this is a different kind of thing than anything else we've been to. The only thing I can kind of compare it to is old wrestling. A very similar kind of deal as far as, like, it's different. It's a different kind of thing, and we're in a different world. So, I mean, that's kind of what we're going to do is describe this bizarre world of Bizarro Lucha and tell you about some of the matches that we saw. I have to say right off the bat, it was not as bizarro as I thought it was going to be. I thought we would get less wrestling, honestly. I thought there'd be a lot more kind of shenanigans and stuff and less wrestling. But this was a wrestling show. Don't get it twisted. That's what this was. So, it was a lot of wrestling tonight and a lot of really good wrestling. We got to see some awesome people that we love and some people that we have never seen before and some people that look kind of familiar,
But not quite like we remember them.
I'm not sure. But John, will you kind of set up where this was at, and I'll try to keep us from dying as we travel on our road home here, and tell us kind of about the venue and everything.
So this was at, I believe it was Indiana Brewing Company, which is a brewery in Indiana. A brewery, yeah. I love breweries, and I love shows that are at breweries, because beer is my thing. Well, movies, pro wrestling, and then beer.
Okay.
And so I was very excited to hear that this was at a brewing company. So kind of this was in their open, if someone needed to hold an event, this was in their event area.
Like a ballroom kind of deal,
Yeah, so they kind of set the ring up in the middle of the room, and then typically at wrestling shows we're used to barricades. There was no barricades, and the fans were encouraged to stand as close to the ring as they wanted. Just make sure you get the F out of the way when the action's coming towards you. Don't just sit there and watch it come flying at your face. Dodge it.
It was an interesting atmosphere too, because there were children running around, but it was very R-rated. Every wrestler was like, "Hey man, fuck you! I'm gonna fuck you up!" Pretty much every wrestler was yelling obscenities.
Am I allowed to fucking cuss?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I just fucking did.
Like that kind of thing. So that was interesting, but that's not dissimilar from other shows we've been to where there's kids. Like Unsanctioned Pro, the last show we were at, they had kids there, and it's people just killing each other right and left, So
yeah, and it's still a fun show.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a little wild.
So once we entered this brewery, we became a part of a different world, a world where things are a little strange, and we saw some people walking around that were just decked out and bizarre. I mean, we're going to use that word a lot tonight because things are strange at Bizarro Lucha, and bizarre is a word to describe that. And like, I mean, the first thing I noticed, I saw this guy that had a mask on. He was kind of a larger guy, and his mask had a mustache on, and he was dressed like a doctor, you know. And I noticed this guy walking around, and I was like, okay, this is what we're in for, you know. And I was all about it, you know.
The first bizarre thing that I saw was a person with a chihuahua.
Oh yeah, there was someone with a dog.
And I don't tend to see a lot of dogs at wrestling shows. I do see a lot of dogs at breweries, though. But not at wrestling shows. And at one point, they like held the dog up as if it was Simba from The Lion King. And it's like, all right.
Hey, shout out to Chad French at Midwest Territory. Paulcade coming up in July, and dogs are welcome at this show. So,
good.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Well, John, you want to kind of set up the first match for us, the first thing that happened, and we can start running this showdown.
So, unfortunately, I want to apologize. We missed the pre-show. We were at another wrestling event right before this, and we decided we wanted to do a double shot of wrestling shows today, which is kind of uncommon for us, but we wanted to give it a go, and unfortunately, because of that, we missed the pre-show.
We barely made it in time because we had a show in Cincinnati that we covered earlier today. So, you know, we're out here, we're doing the work for you. You know, we're hitting the road, we're road warriors, you know, and that's why we're the road home from wrestling, and nobody else is either.
As Brazy said to me, you know, post-show.
You saw him?
I did run into him after the show.
I didn't see him.
He loves wrestling just as much as we do, and so he was there watching the show.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
But he said, you guys are doing the roads just like they are. I said, yeah, we are.
In fact, it's many times in the past I've had a wrestler tell me, like, hey man, I gotta respect the fact that you guys drive all over the fucking creation to go to shows. You know, but then I've also had people say, hey, you don't drive enough. You know, which makes me want to punch him in the face. So
I think the furthest show I've been to was 3.5 hours away.
Yeah.
That's a long drive.
It's pretty far. Yeah, especially when, you know, I don't get 2 days off from work in a row, so that kind of fucks up 2-day trips, you know. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. So set up this this opening contest or whatever happened first.
So Mr. Bizarro is in the ring.
Now he looked familiar to me too, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. He looks, I don't know. It's like I almost saw him trip a few times, and I was like, that really looks familiar from somewhere.
Yeah, but he didn't like fall like coming out of the ring at all tonight, so like I wasn't too sure.
Okay, all right.
But Mr. Bizarro, who was going to be the host of our show tonight, he announces that Bizarro Lucha has been sold. And so I kind of to preface this, so the show was titled Bizarro Lucha, Cold Dead Body in the Woods, and this was their quote season 2 premiere.
Right. Yes.
Of wrestling.
Now, what did Mr. Bizarro look like?
Mr. Bizarro looked like a guy in a leather jacket with a mask and a mustache.
If you've seen the logo for Bizarro Lucha, that's him. So, you know, like, he's the logo. So that's Mr. Bizarro. He's the man, you know, around these parts. So
I did not put 2 and 2 together.
I'm trying to help you, man.
So Mr. Bizarro announces that Bizarro Lucha has been sold. James C. Business has decided to get out of the
businessman.
Yeah,
businessman. James C. Businessman
has decided to get out of the wrestling business, and he has sold the company to, drumroll please, Bradley Prescott IV.
Yeah, your favorite.
One of my favorites.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's just one of my favorites.
Okay. All right, you don't want Brazy to get jealous?
I don't want Brazy to get jealous.
You're scared he's going to listen to this?
I am. Since he was in the crowd, he might be one to hear our insight.
I mean, a lot of people listen to this, so.
So Bradley Prescott IV is the new owner of the company. And he says that his dad, Bradley Prescott III, bought this for him as a graduation gift.
We met Bradley Prescott III at a different show, too, so we've met him before.
He is just as big as a bro as his son.
Dude, yeah, he threw up the shocker. That was awesome.
He did throw up the shocker. So his dad bought this for him as a graduation gift because he recently graduated from college after 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
Going for his business degree.
He's like Van Wilder.
He is the first of his kin to graduate that early.
Really?
6 years was all it took him.
I wonder, so Bradley Prescott the third, it probably took him 8-10 years, something like that maybe. Wow, that's crazy.
But he said, sorry guys, I cannot hang out for very long. He's got spreadsheets and business stuff to attend to that he's hoping to soon hire help to do that, so that he can just enjoy his his life years.
For now, as Devon says, he has business to attend, so he did that. And what else did he have to say? Anything else?
And so in the meantime, while he's doing the spreadsheets in the back, there is a birthday celebration to be had tonight. And so he allows the birthday boy to come out and celebrate his special day.
And the birthday boy was Nick Iggy, who came out, and I believe he had some couple people with him too when he came out. Did you catch who was with him? I don't remember.
Sage Phillip was one of them.
Oh, well, we're not sure. It was Sage. It looked like Sage Phillip's but he was in a suit, and I don't think Sage Phillip wears suits. So.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't seen. So, Gage Phillips came out.
Okay. So it was him, and then another like a bald dude in a suit as well. So he had these kind of guys with him, and they, and Nick Iggy he got all kinds of heat, man. People don't like him.
I don't know why. He seems like a pleasant man to me.
I don't know. He seemed like an asshole to me tonight. A lot of people didn't like him, and that Bizarro crowd, I think they know what they're doing, and I think they know who to cheer and who to boo. So, I mean, to me, I was going with them and booing the shit out of Nick Iggy. I don't care if it's his fucking birthday.
I don't know. I disagree. He had really fashionable pants on that I thought, he looked like a circus leader, and I was here for that. Have you never been to a circus and had a good time?
No, circuses are awful. They mistreat the animals, and I don't know. I don't like circuses. And Nick Iggy is part of the what are the guys? They are circus guys. Like him and Carrie Awful and Trip Cassidy are part of this group, which everyone's screaming at me right now. I can't remember what the fuck the name is. I even saw them like Ring of Honor once. Yeah, the Carnies. There you go.
Okay.
And
shot in the dark.
Yeah, the Carnies, and so that's why he looks like that he's from a circus, because he is. He's the ringleader or whatever. So
I'm here for ringleaders.
Okay, all right.
But no, like you said, nobody wanted to celebrate his birthday, and I thought it was disrespectful. That's just my own personal taste.
So, John, you got a party hat, and you put it on your head, and it kept falling off, but you were just dedicated to leaving this party hat on, and it was like a real big deal to you for some reason, right?
It was, because I wanted to show that I was here to support Nick Iggy in his birthday.
Did you even know who he was before you got there?
I do follow him on Twitter. I don't know why I follow him on Twitter, but I do follow him. I think
you didn't even know who he was, John.
No, I can pull up my Twitter right now, and I do follow him.
Okay, so I follow like a million people. I don't know who they are. So, well, I'm just saying.
Like, he was one of those guys where, like, I was like, his name's Nick. I do not know his last name.
Yeah, you didn't know his last name.
But I've seen him. Oh. I've seen his selfies, because he does a selfie a day.
Okay, well, all I'm trying to say is that your obsession with this party hat was a little silly. And that, and I mean, I get it. You were getting in to the attitude and the ideals of Bizarro. I get it,
Yeah.
But, I mean, birthdays are normal shit. They happen every day.
I'm just going to say, I was the last man standing when it came to birthday hats. So, Nick Iggy, I'm here for you, bro.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Hey, Nick Iggy, I'm not. So, there you go. All right, well, what happened here? So, there was a match, though, right?
Yes, this led to our first match. It was Nick Iggy versus Dynamite Dino Dude. He's the leader of Smash.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm assuming is a group in this Bizarro Lucha world.
It's a lot of groups, and we're not familiar with all of them. But yeah, so this guy, look, he was wearing jeans. He had knee pads on under his jeans, I noticed. And he was wearing like a t-shirt that said like Toontown or something like that.
Okay.
And then he had this like kind of like, I don't know, Luchasaurus type mask on,
It's like a Triceratops almost.
Okay.
Double horn.
Yeah. Well, he looked more like a T-Rex to me, though, just period, like his body and shape.
Yeah. And then we're forgetting, he had a skateboard.
Oh, that's true.
That was
yes.
a big factor.
Well, and he came out with 2 other people, too. He came out with Pizza Cat, and he came out with The Deal, Adam Slade.
And Dakota.
Oh, yeah, and Dakota as well.
Yeah.
So we'll get into those folks later. But yeah, so we had ourselves a match. What do you think of this match, John?
I thought it was a really fun opening match. Nick Iggy got to celebrate his birthday and let everybody know it was his birthday boy. And Dynamite Dino, he was here to party.
Yeah.
And I was here to party with him.
Oh. So, but, wait, what? So
Well,
you're cheering for everybody, John? What are we doing here? You're like...
I'm an equal opportunist.
Is that what it is? You just cheer everybody? Okay, wow.
Well, not everybody.
Oh,
there are
okay,
people I didn't.
All right. Okay. Well, my point is that you seem like you're a flip-flopper, and, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that you don't know who you're cheering. You're just like, I like this guy. I kind of like this guy, too. Wait, that guy did something to that guy? Whatever, I like everybody.
Well, so I cheer one guy louder than I cheer the other guy.
I didn't hear that.
Well, it's because you're deaf from
That's true. I am
stated
deaf.
by the speaker for the first, 3 matches.
But I'm normally deaf anyway, so, I'm just extra deaf tonight. And that's DEF, by the way. That just means that I'm awesome, so, yeah. Def Champ.
So this was a fun match, and Iggy got some real heel shit in this match.
Told you.
So there was a spot where Dino had Iggy out on the outside. He had a couple fans hold a skateboard up, and so he threw Iggy into that skateboard, and he got greedy, and he went for a second attempt with this. But as he was going to get Iggy to throw him into the skateboard again, Nick started hiding behind a small child that was in attendance. And he literally grabbed her and, put her in front of him.
Oh, my God.
As Dino came, rearing up with a skateboard, ready to whomp him in the face.
That was amazing. You got some good video of that,
It was
didn't you?
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that was great, man.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've seen people take their female valet and throw them in the way, or something like that,
I've
right?
never seen, a 5-year-old child be used as, a shield.
Yeah, well, Nick Iggy's a piece of crap, obviously. Only someone who's a terrible human being would do something like that. Just my opinion.
He's a good leader, and he knows how to manipulate the crowd to get his way.
What? Get out of here. So he's manipulating a child? So that's a good thing, John?
The child literally did anything he asked him to do. So
that would be taking advantage of a child, which is a bad thing to do,
her
John.
brain's not fully developed yet, so he's taking advantage of that fact.
Well, what's the deal is your brain when you're young, it's like concrete, and anything that you kind of write in it, like for example trauma from a wrestling show where someone swings a skateboard at you but doesn't hit you, it the older you get, the firmer that gets, just like concrete as it dries. And that's why.
I don't know. There was an event apparently when I was a child where I stuck my hands on a hot kerosene heater.
Really?
I don't remember that, but my parents reminded me.
You blocked it out, John.
Well, I was
therapy.
I was 3 or 4.
Yeah, time for some therapy, probably.
My first memory came when I was 5 or 6.
Me too.
So honestly, this might be this child's first memory of being used as a shield.
What's your first memory of pro wrestling? Well, this asshole scarred me for life.
This circus guy grabbed me and put me in front of the skateboard.
Oh, that was fun. So that was pretty cool. What else happened in this?
So Nick hit a nice springboard cutter, but it was only good for 2, unfortunately. And the finish of this match, he grabs the skateboard, tells the referee, "It's my birthday. I don't give an F of what you have to say." And he goes and takes a swing at Dino with the skateboard. Dino moves out of the way. Nick hits the ropes, bounces back, hits him in the face.
The old chair spot.
Dynamite Dino dude rolls him up with the schoolboy. He gets the victory.
That's right. Now, something we failed to mention, and people might be wondering, how is he not getting disqualified for swinging a fucking skateboard around? Well, Bizarro Lucha is contested under Bizarro Lucha rules, which is no countouts and no disqualifications. The only way to get disqualified, John, do you remember?
is by removing the mask of your opponent.
Yeah, you cannot unmask your opponent. So if you do that, that's against the rules, and you get disqualified. So, which that did not come up tonight, thank goodness. You know, we didn't want to see anybody's identities get revealed because it's a sacred thing in Lucha Libre. And so, you know, that's why this was the way it was. And so, John, do you know why that's awesome, having those two specific rules in a wrestling company? You know why that's awesome?
So it pays respect to the wrestlers, and then being able to like hide their identity.
Well, I was going to say it's awesome because you always get a winner. So there's never going to be a DQ unless we change the rules a little bit, which we'll talk about later. But, you know, you will always have a winner. So that's outstanding. You know, I don't hate DQ finishes, but sometimes they are just like,
they're overdone.
You know, yes, it's definitely overdone, especially at particular places that we go where they just constantly do it, and it's just kind of like, ugh, after a while. So that's a pretty cool deal. They want to make sure that the fans always get a winner, you know, because that's very important. So winners and losers fucking matter at Bizarro Lucha, which is pretty cool. I like that. So anyway, that was our first match. Was there any shenanigans after the match, or did we go on to the next one?
There wasn't any shenanigans. We went straight to our second match.
All right, Mr. Bizarro came out and he announced another match. What was it?
So part of the thing is they didn't announce the no DQ, no count out thing until the second match.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we were kind of confused that they were using the skateboard in the first match.
But they did, because when we walked in, Rebecca, who was working the table, told us that was the way it is.
Did she?
Yeah, she said that that's what they announced, and they had like a pre-show match or something like that.
So they reiterated it then for the IWA TV.
Right, because we forgot to mention, this was also being, you know, so like this is a cool deal. So for once, and this is a neat, I think this only happened one other time, where we've actually been at a live, live streaming deal and covered it for the show. So this is a show you can watch on IWTV anytime you want. It's up there right now. So you can go watch this and you can, you know, hear all this stuff that we're talking about. So this is pretty cool. So this was being streamed live on IWTV, and they also announced later that every Bizarro Lucha show will now be live on IWTV. Pretty awesome. Prophet of Ash, Jeremy was in the house. Always good to see him run around like a maniac, you know.
Yeah.
A little tight tonight, not too much running around for him, which is a good thing. But, you know, it's always good to see him, and the IWTV team was there. Righteous Jesse was in the house. Stepstool Stara was in the house. All kinds of people, you know. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
So what's the next match?
The next match was Lee Moriarty, just like the bad guy in fucking Sherlock Holmes, man. Moriarty. Okay. Moriarty. I don't know. I'm just gonna move on.
Okay.
Versus Trip Cassidy.
That's right. The owner and proprietor of Bizarro Lucha, Trip Cassidy, the Lucha Daddy. I don't know. I'm confused about who the Lucha Daddy is, because I've heard him called the Lucha Daddy, but I've also heard Shotzi Blackheart called the Lucha Daddy. So I don't know. Somebody's a Lucha Daddy, but. You know, Trip Cassidy there again, and Lee Moriarty recently was also live on IWTV on Friday up at AIW and had a tremendous match with Alex Shelley. He's a big-time up-and-coming guy. We saw him at Old Wrestling, actually. You know, he was, yeah.
So I have seen him
You have seen him before. So, you know, he's one of those guys that has kind of been around for a while, but is now really making a name for himself. And they really put him over huge up at AIW, and he got put over huge tonight, just not in the match. But yeah, this was awesome, man. He fucking, what do you think? I mean, Moriarty's really good, right? I mean, this kid's pretty good. I mean, what do you think?
So I'm not super familiar with him, apparently. I've seen him before, I just didn't know it. But he's advertised to go against one of our usual wrestlers that we're familiar with. And so I was like, I don't understand necessarily why the hype is behind this match with him and Lexus Montez. Another promotion we go to.
Okay.
And so seeing this match, I now understand why there's hype behind this match.
They're like the same dude in a lot of ways. You know, they do a lot of the same moves. They kind of have the same kind of fighting style, and that is coming up at on Unsanctioned Pro. But we're talking about Bizarro, and no other places exist. So,
well, I was just kind of leading into why like, I now understand the hype behind this guy because he was freaking great.
He's awesome, right? Why is he good, John?
He's very quick. He has a lot of different. So one of the things that's like kind of unusual to really pay attention to is pinfalls, and he does so many different like variations of a pinfall that I was just like taken aback by how many varieties he had. But he's also just really fast and he strikes really hard, and I don't know, he was just good overall at entertaining me.
He's the apex of combat, you know, and that's pretty clear. You know, he is a tremendous martial artist, obviously, and a tremendous wrestler in his own right. And I think that one of the things that I always thought would be a cool gimmick is a guy that just is really good at pinning people. And it's like, he can't really do anything else. He can just only pin people, and like he's really good at it, and he just wins every match that way. You know, that'd be funny, a funny gimmick. However, he does that gimmick, but he does it like along with 500 other things that he can do well, right?
Yeah.
So, some of the counters and the striking and stuff in this match was just top notch. You know, Trip Cassidy is a, you know, old school wrestler. It's been around, 10 years, he told us actually tonight. So it's real soon he'll be around 10 years, and that's pretty awesome. So, you know, we got to see these guys just kind of tear it down, and they did a hell of a job. I don't know, I loved it. You got any notes on it?
I do have some notes. So there was a lot of chain wrestling involving handshakes to begin this match.
Trust me.
Because Lee at the gate, he wants to show sign of respect. So he's like, hey, shake my hand. And Tripp's not really feeling it.
He's like, this is the booker. I better shake his hand.
And Tripp's like, I don't want to shake your hand. But then they kind of tankle a little bit. And then Tripp's like, oh, now I want to shake your hand. And the crowd's like, do not trust this bastard.
No. Yeah, they were booing Trip Cassidy.
Yeah, they're like, don't trust this guy. He doesn't want to shake your hand. And immediately after, Lee finally accepts the handshake, Tripp just starts trying to break his fingers and break his hand. And then that led into a lot of different chain wrestling where they were tying up and locking up, either like on the mat, outside, like bouncing off ropes. I don't have any specific notes, but I just know there was a lot of chain wrestling that was really pretty.
There's 1,000 moves in this match too, which I feel like they could have done even more if they wanted, but they just kept, it was only a second match on the show, you don't want to tear the roof off the place.
Right.
So, but what else happened? Anything else?
So Tripp hit a really cool 619 on a turnbuckle.
Yeah, that was neat.
There was a fun spot where Lee tried to, do an Irish whip.
Oh,
I've been drinking.
John's been drinking a little bit.
An Irish whip.
Can't say the words.
But Tripp yanked him back, and he kind of like skidded and hit face first onto the mat, and then Tripp like punted him in the face. It really connected well.
Yeah, there was a part too where Lee Moriarty, he hit this kick, and it was not an enziguri. There's another type of, there's a gamaguri or something like that. I don't know, it was like one of those kicks, and it just fucking took Tripp's head off. But unfortunately, that kick got kind of no-sold, because that was right at the end. But it made everybody go, holy shit! It was amazing.
Yeah. So Lee hit a spinning armbar so hard that it knocked the gauge out of Tripp's ear out.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, so he did a spinning head scissor armbar that the gauge in his ear literally just popped out and skidded across the ring. It was really fun. Then Moriarty. Say that right? Yeah. Close?
I mean, but just slow and you couldn't say it right.
Well, yeah.
So good enough.
So Moriarty hit a really massive boot, the enziguri, to Tripp. But Tripp was able to kind of get right out of it and trap Lee into some kind of pinning predicament to get his shoulders down for a 3 count.
That's right.
And he picked up the victory.
Yeah, so Tripp gets the win, but after the match, then he grabs the mic and puts over Lee Moriarty to the live audience and lets everybody know that he's the first one to tell everybody that he's the greatest or something like that. I don't know, that was kind of weird, but it's just a funny way to put Guy over, because he was like, he's like, I'm the one that, is telling you that this guy's the best. And I'm like, well, a lot of people know that. I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty funny, but it was a great match. It was awesome to see both these guys go at it, and I was just happy to be there for it,
Yeah, it was fun.
So, anyway, what was next, John?
Our next match was a tag team match. It was pitting 2 members of Team Smash, Adam Slade and Pizza Cat, against 2 members of Iffy, Sean Kemp.
That's exactly what their theme song sounds like.
Okay. So it was Sean Kemp, and he's a dog.
He's a dog.
And Jordan.
Jonathan Wolf.
Jonathan, I literally have Jonathan. I was looking at you and I was mesmerized by your singing, but it was Jonathan Wolf.
Jonathan Wolf came out. And these guys are, they're part of Iffy. They fucking hate you, man.
I don't hate them.
Well, just saying
But they
that's
hate
what their
me.
name is. And so they come out, and we get ourselves a fucking fantastic tag team match. I mean, this was awesome, right? I mean, this might have been... There was one other match tonight that I thought was the best match of the night, but goddamn, this was fucking awesome. Awesome. I've never seen Pizza Cat before, although she looks very familiar,
She has this bluish hue to her hair that I've seen before, but I can't quite pinpoint it.
She reminds me of Jesus, but maybe a Jesus from space,
Okay.
That's kind of what she reminds me of. But that eats pizza, and is a cat.
I like pizza.
Okay. I gotcha.
Do you like pizza?
Oh, fucking love pizza. In fact, we often make the analogy that wrestling is like pizza. So even when it's bad, it's still pretty good because it's fucking pizza. So
amen, brother.
So there we are. Yes, this match was fucking fantastic. I'm so happy. The last time we saw Adam Slade, it was in a rough match that was kind of not his fault. Shit was not going well. So I'm really happy to see him in something where I was just like, oh man, that's the Adam Slade I fucking love. So happy to see him. And like I said, the debut of Pizza Cat here on the podcast. So good to see Pizza Cat. They came out with pizza. They
did.
That's
I was
very
hoping
important.
that they'd give me a slice, but they didn't.
It was that Little Caesars bullshit. You don't want that.
I mean, have you had Little Caesars stuffed crust pizza?
I don't. No.
You have to call ahead, but it is actually really good.
I can't believe you. I can't. So here's my deal with Little Caesars, right? I mean, sure, it's fine. It's $5, whatever. I get it. You get what you pay for.
It's ready when you walk in.
If you put, sometimes, if you put a little salt and pepper on it, it's pretty good. Okay.
What?
Yeah, you need a little salt and pepper on the Little Caesars. So, but here's what I don't like about Little Caesars. Okay, is when your boss decides, oh, we're gonna have pizza for lunch at work. And then they buy fucking that. And you're like, cool. So that's what you think of me. Awesome. That's how much you love your employees, that you bought fucking Little Caesars.
You buy $5 pizzas.
And guess what?
Thank you so much.
At work, there's no fucking salt and pepper. So you're screwed, Anyway.
Well, it sounds like your job sucks. My job, we tend to get Donato's or La Rosa's.
That's great. Yeah. See, well, my job, they don't buy me anything anymore. So it's just...
We get so much food catered in at my job. We get a lot of gift cards, and we get free attire. They give us merchant clothing allowances a year.
Yeah, sounds good.
But back to this match.
Yeah.
So Adam Slade, he learned a new trick before this show started. He's been, he's got a dog at home. He's been noticing how good of a boy he is. And he's thought, you know what? You know what would be nice? Having my belly rubbed.
Yeah.
Just like a good boy. And so he looks at Sean Kemp and he says, hey, you got a trick that you do. I want you to do that trick to me.
Well, that's Alley Cat does this. So this is kind of where he learned this. I think it's from Alley Cat.
Okay. I don't know too many cats that want their belly rubbed, because cats can be total asshole.
Well, cat,
sometimes.
you rub its belly, and then all of a sudden it decides, you know what? I'm not cool with you rubbing my belly anymore. I'm going to attack you.
Get the fuck out of
and
here.
bite the shit out of you.
I'm done.
But
Here
Alley,
you go.
Alley Cat, she attacked a bunch of dudes tonight, so I'm just saying.
But we'll get to her later. So Slade, he unbuttons his denim jacket to reveal his chest and all of its hair, and he looks at Sean and he says, "Hey, I want you to rub my belly." And Sean's like, "I ain't rubbing your belly. I'm a dog. Dogs don't rub other dogs' bellies."
He didn't try to sniff his butt, though, you know?
He did try to sniff his butt.
Did he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
And
well, that would be really cool.
Adam gets down in the middle of the ring with his shirt undone, jacket undone, vest undone. Something was undone.
Yeah, it's all undone. It's Undone, the sweater song. That's what it is.
And so he says, "Hey, scratch my belly." And Sean doesn't.
Yep. Establishing the dynamic immediately here. I have not been drinking. I just can't say the word establishing, so.
So he throws Slade's leg back and then like clotheslines him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then
lot of shit.
Adam tries to atomic drop Sean Kemp on his crotch area. And Sean says, "Hey, that didn't affect me. I am neutered."
That was pretty funny.
Which is good because he's been watching Price is Right, where they tell you
Oh, yeah.
to control the pet population,
Well,
get your dog spayed or neutered.
That was Bob Barker's passion, man.
Yeah.
You know, that and punching Happy Gilmore in the face.
And Sean Kemp's owner watched the Price is Right when Bob was in charge.
There you go.
Got his pet spayed or neutered.
So let's talk a little bit about once Pizza Cat gets tagged in and we get to see Jonathan Wolf versus Pizza Cat, and I'm just like, fucking A, this is the greatest shit I've ever seen in my life. Unbelievable. Like, okay, so Lucha arm drag. You think of like a Lucha arm drag. Oh, it's a fancy one, right? You know, it's got like a little fancy, maybe you jump off a rope or something like that. We're getting like 8 stage ones going on here, where we're getting like thrown up on the shoulder, flipped over, then do a turn, then tornado, then back down, and then the fucking arm drag. I mean, all kinds of crazy shit. This was spectacular. High work rate shit going on in this match. Outstanding. Loved it.
Yeah, Pizza Cat hit a couple different variation Hurricane Ranas that just kind of came out of nowhere that were really pretty looking. There was one not so pretty looking where it looked like she might have hit her head a little bit.
Yeah. It was like she was going for a reverse Rana or something, and Jonathan Wolf just kind of yanked her legs up, so she's kind of just blasted her head on the mat, which is no bueno, man.
But she still hit the follow through and damaged them.
She did.
But it wasn't quite enough.
No.
To get the job done. Pizza Cat eventually tags out. Slade comes back in, and this is kind of, we had a couple dive spots to the outside. Once they actually got back in the ring, it kind of got to our finish here. So Jonathan Wolf hits a black mass, and then Sean Kemp hits a claymore, and then Wolf immediately says, "Pick him back up."
Is this what we're calling these moves?
I mean, I don't know like their indie name.
Well, it's a roundhouse kick, and then and then a single leg drop kick. So yeah,
I just kind of know the finishing titles from.
Fair enough.
I watch a lot of WWE
I know
guys,
you do, buddy.
and it translates down into my indies.
That's fine.
So he picks. Wolf declares, "Hey, pick him back up. We're not done." So Sean Kemp gets him back up. He hits a burning hammer, and then Wolf goes to the top rope. Hits a swanton. Decides he's not done, so he jumps back on the ropes and hits a second rope moonsault. Pins Adam Slade. Gets the victory for Iffy. And there are winners.
And then we hear, homa, just like that. Sounds exactly the same.
Spot on.
Yeah.
I thought I was still at the show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that was fucking awesome. Love that match. I'm sorry Adam Slade got pinned, but hey, he tried to give him the deal. At one point he had fired up and he was running all over the place, beating everybody up and running wild. And he's like, "You want me to give him the deal?" And the crowd knew exactly what that was. They were like, "Fuck yeah, give him the deal." Nobody kicks out the deal, John.
Nobody kicks out the deal.
That's right.
Unfortunately, he didn't hit the deal, so
no,
they were able to kick out.
Next time, just try the deal right out of the gate.
So one thing I've noticed, don't announce the move you're doing.
Yeah,
it doesn't work then.
It's a mistake that all babyface wrestlers do. They try to let everybody know they're about to hit their finisher, and it's like, brother, you're also letting the guy know that you're... Yeah, so don't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway. What else happened, John?
We got on to our next match, which is the match that honestly got my ass there. It was Mance Warner versus Levi freaking Everett.
So, it's been really fun doing the Road Home from Wrestling podcast. A couple really cool things that we've been able to do, and John, unfortunately you weren't around at the very beginning, but there was a couple years ago, back in 2017, we started going to IWA Mid-South. We ran into Aaron Williams, we became friends with him, and he was working out there all the time, and he told us about this guy named Zodiac and some of these other guys that were working there, and we were like, man, we gotta go check this out. So we go down to IWA, and one of the first things that just made our head explode was seeing this guy. We'd hear Simple Man come on, right? Like a minute would go by. And this guy would come out. He doesn't look like much. Some guy, you know what I mean? He comes out, and the crowd is going insane, and he just walks around, giving people high fives and fist bumps. And then, one of the crowd members would he had this towel, and he'd throw it up in the air, and one of the crowd members would fucking shine his boots on the apron. And then he did the knee pad up and knee pad down. We're like, what the fuck is this? I love this. I'll never forget it, And we went and saw Mance Warner a bunch of times at IWA Mid-South. And we got a chance to talk to him tonight. And, he said, hey, man, I remember seeing you guys at these shows, in front of 14 people and listening to your podcast on my way home back to to Bucksnort and all that. And I mean, that's pretty awesome. Just hearing that kind of stuff is really cool, and it's been really fun to see someone like Mance Warner from the very beginning. Another guy that we've kind of gotten to see from the very beginning is Levi Everett, and Levi Everett versus Mance Warner. I mean, this is what pro wrestling's all about, and this is like a match that could only happen at Bizarro Lucha, right? I mean, this is a match made for Bizarro Lucha. Tell me, John, what do you think of these two guys, and why did you want to see this match so much?
So, honestly, I wanted to see the match because of the entrances alone. So, Mance Warner has this, he's like an enigma. He comes out, and the crowd just goes freaking apeshit. Because he just kind of walks through the crowd, he takes people's beers, people hand him beers, he drinks them, he looks at people, he makes eyes, he wants you to shine his boots, and he'll get back in the ring, and then he'll come right back out, and he'll start chirping with different people in the crowd. And so he has this, very unusual entrance that is, captivating. And then you have Levi, who has this entrance where he's just the nicest freaking guy in town. He comes out and he wants to shake everyone's hand and make sure that they feel welcome to the show. And so honestly, I went to see the Battle of the Entrances, and I got rewarded with a fantastic match
No
to
kidding.
go with it.
Yeah, I mean, this match was spectacular. We got a chance to talk to Levi later too, and he was so thankful for just everything, he
always is.
He's got this innocence in his eyes, and this I don't know, he's unspoiled by the cynicism of the world, and people like that, I love them, and people like that you see, I don't know, man, it's just, he's a spectacular wrestler, and he's a spectacular character, and Levi gets over everywhere he goes, just like Mance Warner. So this was a match made in heaven. Tell us a little bit about it, John. I mean, you took extensive notes, right?
Literally, my notes are what a match, and then the finish.
It's unbelievable.
Because, so I feel like I might be very prominent on the IWTV feed for this show, because just the position I was. And honestly, if you watch this match back, and if I am in the background as much as I think I am in complete shock and disbelief throughout half of the match. There's a couple times where honestly, I think my jaw is on the floor of the the brewery.
That's awesome, man. That's the way it's supposed to be, you know? So
it was just so good.
You know, it opened up with, you know, we had to have Levi churn the butter, of course, you know, and so he churned the butter.
I was disappointed that Mance didn't get to churn the butter.
You know, I mean, Mance was trying to fight him. You know, he's not gonna churn the butter. He doesn't mess around. In fact, so much so that you know, Manser kind of fucked him up right off the bat. Hit the knee shifter, knee pad up, knee pad down right away. But Levi kicked out of like 1 or something like that. You know, and this is the beginning of just an outstanding match between these two guys. A couple things that stuck out to me. One of the things I love about Levi, when he hits a suicide dive, he commits 100% to it, and he doesn't grab the ropes and do the little hop at the end. You know, he is flying at you, and he's coming, and you better catch him. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is, and you got to respect that.
He doesn't really look like a guy who's going to be doing suicide dives in matches. Like, he's kind of like frumpy a little bit, and you don't expect it.
You know, a tope suicida. So tope means headbutt. So, like, it's supposed to be a flying headbutt, right? You know, the WWE soft version is the flying push, you know, or the flying hug. And so, you know, you see when a guy like him, like Levi does it, he's doing it right. You know, another guy like Akira Tozawa, if you see him do a fucking tope, he does it the way it's supposed to be done. Now, that's super dangerous, and it's scary as fuck, but man, that's what pro wrestling's all about, right? You know? Yeah. So, tell me about this door war that they had. They brought out 2 doors, but the first one got split in half because they put it in the corner right by us, right?
They did, and then Mance kind of choke slam / spine buster Levi through it. And so they both took half of the door and just started beating the shit out of each other with it.
Putting their heads through the door, like, twice.
So like, Levi swings up, he swings, and Mance, you know, kind of gets his arm up a little bit, blocks it to protect himself, and Levi's like, hey, just put my head through this door. So Mance does. So his first strike, you just see Levi's head pop through, like, hey, what's up? What are you doing?
Peekaboo.
And he has to, like, kind of, like, pull the remnants off, and they kind of just start swinging back and forth on each other.
That was awesome. When the second door came out, Levi went and got it, and when he came back, I was like, he made that. And then he just started screaming, I made that! I made this! You know, that's amazing. He made the door.
He also came back with just a stack of 4 chairs. Like, originally he comes back with a stack of 4 chairs on his arms and just chucks them over the top rope, and then he grabs the door and he's like, I made this. And we're like, we know you did.
That was amazing. We need him to bring a rocking chair into the fucking ring and be like, I made this, you know, like as a...
Levi can bring anything made from wood into the ring, and I'd be like, he made it.
Absolutely.
I know he did.
That's amazing. Yeah, so that happened, you know, and then this kind of set up to this huge spot that we got where basically Vance Warner set up a table out of the door and 2 chairs, and then he put 2 chairs on top of that. So you're going to go through 2 chairs and a table made out of a door, right?
And don't forget
the lay, right? Yeah, lay. So the referees were kind of in character tonight. At least this guy was. He was like the Bahama Mama or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, sounds right.
he had you know, like board shorts on, and he had fucking a lay. And at one point, Manser had taken the lay from him. And, you know, and man, the crowd did not like that, man. And missed opportunity here because, like, you know, they kind of, like, were fighting each other up to the top rope after they built this, like, contraption. And Levi could have turned around and given that lay back to the ref, you know, a little missed opportunity. But he took, like, 500 unprotected headshots in this match, so, you know, wasn't quite thinking straight, which I understand. So how did this all shake out, John?
So somehow, I believe Levi superplexed Mance through the door chair spot.
Yes, he did.
But it wasn't enough to get Mance down. So Mance kind of works his way back up, and he puts a door in front of Levi's face. And then, is this the knee pad up, knee pad down?
Yeah, well, he just hit the knee shiver because he didn't bother with the knee pad up.
I didn't know the proper name, so I wanted to make sure. So he hit 2 knee shivers through a door to Levi's face, and it was enough to get him down for the pin.
That's right. Well, that's not actually correct. So he hit the knee shiver, and then he picked him up and hit a lariat, and then he hit another lariat. Then he got the win because his finish is the lariat and light beer. You know, that's Mance Warner. So knee shiver's like his kind of setup move
like
or whatever.
Signature move.
You got it. So yeah, he hit double lariat, 2 lariats, and that's what it took to get Levi down. But that wasn't it, man. You know, Mance Warner had some stuff he wanted to say about Levi. Did you catch all this?
Yeah, so post-match, he said, hey, turn that really snazzy tune that I love down, because I got something to say.
He's like, first time ever, turn my music off.
So he turns down the music, and he gets on the mic, and he starts putting over Levi huge. And he says, he gets on the mic, and he says, hey, Joey Janelli, I know you're watching this from home. Is that his name?
Joey Janela.
Whatever.
Janelli?
I don't watch AEW.
Oh.
Sorry.
I don't either. Go ahead.
So he tells Joey, hey, book this guy in your clusterfuck scramble match. I'm assuming it's a scramble match.
Yeah, Spring Break 3
at WrestleMania weekend. Mm-hmm. He wants Levi on the card, and if he doesn't put him on the card, then Mance and Joey are going to have beef.
That's right. I think that's a obvious thing. I think that this is going to be... I think we're going to see a lot of guys coming out of WrestleMania weekend, people starting to realize who these people are, because this is one of the first years... It's not the first year, but it's one of the first years that there's going to be massive amounts of streaming content coming from Tampa, Florida, and I think a lot of people are going to be watching that shit, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh my god, Levi Everett, never heard of this guy, this guy's amazing, you know? So I'm really happy for him. Levi apparently had no idea that was going to happen either, and his eyes were just like...
You could tell he was like shocked.
Oh man, he was so happy, and I was so happy for him. And that was an outstanding match, probably match of the night, but we got more stuff to talk about. But first, we got single intermission, which is what we call intermission. And I was going to run out to the car and get some stickers to give to some people, but you know what? It was raining like a son of a bitch, and we had to park like way up the street, and I was like, nah, no thanks. What'd you do, John?
I went and stood in line and got I got one beer. I got the lemon drop beer from the bar.
Any good?
It was decent. Okay. Not as good as the second beer that I eventually went back for.
Which was what?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was an IPA. The first one was a pale ale. The second one was an IPA.
Okay.
I'm a big IPA guy, so
fair enough. You do have a beard and glasses and brown hair, so yeah. This automatic IPA guy.
But they were both good, and then we kind of we went and said hi to Mance.
Yeah, we talked to Mance for a little bit. That was a lot of fun. We also saw a lot of great people we know. Fucking Mouse's Wrestling Adventures in the house. We had Sean the Ref in the house. I mean, there's a lot of cool people there. The Deal, fucking Nolan Edwards was in the house. He was in the pre-show match.
I was very upset when I heard that he was in the pre-show.
Yeah, I'm sorry we missed that. But
he's like one of my new up-and-coming guys that I like.
He's another guy that we're probably going to see, rise the ranks here real soon too. So it's good to see him. And we ran into a bunch of people that we know. Sorry if we're leaving anybody out. Oh yeah, well we were sitting with Dustin. Standing, excuse me. There's no seats at this show. Standing with Dustin and Jeremy was on the Rockstar show with us just recently. Okay. So that was a lot of fun. But anyway, all right. Well, that was single intermission. After that, we had another match or something. What did we have?
We did. We had a unlucky 13 Rumble match.
So this was a Royal Rumble style match, but the deal is that the first two people were in the ring for 5 minutes, and then after that, every 90 seconds, someone would be added to the match, and the only way to win is to throw your opponent over the top rope. So it's an over-the-top Battle Royal Rumble style match, right? So we have a little system for doing this where we just kind of list the people that come out, and then we know when they were eliminated. But the story of this match was all about Atticus Cogar. That was kind of what this match was all about. That and the evil Dr. What's his name? Magnanimous, right?
Magnanimous,
Dr. Magnanimous and his, formulas, right? Which is a pretty cool concept that is only available at Bizarro Lucha. This Dr. Magnanimous guy, apparently he brews formulas and does, chemist stuff. and comes up with these wrestlers, right? Which is crazy. I don't know if he's feeding the wrestlers the formula or if they are the formula. But one way or the other, it's some fucking, some mad scientist stuff. And Dr. Zorba is jealous. That's all I got to say.
So it's like, it might be one of those situations like Captain America, how he's made with the
that's
super
what I'm saying,
formula,
the super serum shit.
Or Bane, how he's created with that.
And each formula has a different kind of, because there was a flippy dude, there was a giant dude, there was a, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah. So who were the two first people out?
Our first contenders were Ace Perry and Atticus Kogar, who scares the living crap out of me.
He's terrifying, man, but I love Atticus Kogar. We've seen him a bunch of times, and he's tremendous. His opponent, Ace Perry's fucking awesome, man. I mean, he's so great. And everyone was cheering him, which we're not used to, because he's been heel for a while at pretty much every place we've seen him at. So
I think it's because they were attracted to him. I mean, that's part of the reason why they were cheering on, because he was getting everyone aroused.
Hey, he's a beautiful man. What are you going to do? If I could look like one guy, I always say it's Pat Monix, but I changed my mind. Now it's Ace Perry. It's Ace Perry.
Okay.
If I could look like one. It's just Pat Monix is tall,
Tall and slender.
Maybe I want like Pat Monix's body with Ace Perry's head. Now we're talking, right?
You like those gorgeous locks, that curly hair that he's got.
It's got nothing to do with that. So.
Oh, I would want his hair.
Oh, okay.
He's got nice hair.
Well, I'm sure he does, John, but, I don't have any hair, so I'm just cool with that, and that's, I'm just as God made me, so,
Well, you used to have beautiful long hair.
Yeah, when I was younger, and before it all fell out, so any other, upsetting memories you want to bring up?
I was not even going there. You went there.
You start talking about hair, and that's just automatic baldism. I get triggered just like that.
Ace Perry has nice hair. Like even me, as a fully headed hair person, I would like Ace Perry's hair.
Able-haired? Is that what you are?
So these two battle back and forth for a good while.
They
last the 5 minutes.
They're crushing it though. They're fucking just doing all kinds. They had this opening exchange that just wherever Jim Cornette was at, he just was like, what the fuck? Something's going on. I hate. They just were doing. They hit the ropes like 60 times basically. It was awesome.
It's like mild heart attacks just from thinking about it.
Man, we need to give him a.
So these two kind of start the match, and then our next competitor was MV Young.
That's right, MV Young, guy we've seen a couple times. We didn't know he, was in the Lucha Bizarro world, but he was. And then, the crowd had chanted earlier. They said, "This match hot, this match hot," and I think they meant "this match is hot." Is what I think they meant.
These guys are hot.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And so when MV Young came out, they were like, "This match real hot." So we got "this match hot" chant again.
In Fuego.
In Fuego, that's right. Dan Patrick. But yeah.
And so those three kind of tingled a little bit until MV Young planted a kiss on Ace Perry and made everyone jealous.
Oh, big time. Yeah, everyone was jealous. We were all like, man, I was going to kiss Ace Perry later, but now you did it. Okay.
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah, I guess so.
Our next competitor was Formulation. They started out Formula, and then they went to Formulation later on. But it was Formula 002.
Okay.
And he came out with Dr.
Magnanimous.
Yes.
So this guy had a mask on, and he had tubes coming out of his mask like he needed them for breathing. He looked very similar to another wrestler we've seen named Kay Faden, but it wasn't him. It was Formulation 002. So, and like you said, Dr. Magnanimous was out there ringside in his fucking incredible getup, just talking shit, So that was awesome. Who came out next?
Our next entry at number 5 was Formula 003 Riley. So I think 002 had a name tied to it. I just didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's hard to understand.
But 3 was Riley.
Mr. Bizarro's doing his best, right?
Yes.
You know, and we appreciate that. So, you know, we're not talking shit about Mr. Bizarro, just saying.
Did you see how many abs 003 had?
All of the abs.
Like, I've seen this many abs on one person before, but
Yeah.
they weren't the same person because that guy was in the crowd watching the show.
Right.
But yeah, I was impressed.
This guy was a little brazy, you know, I mean, but in like a different way, you know?
It looked like he had been off carbs, but recently kind of been on carbs.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe that's part of the formulation is carbs, and then maybe taking the carbs out, putting them in. You don't know. You know?
Like abstaining from carbs and then being like, let's go deep in.
Right. Well, he did a bunch of flippy shit right off the bat. Like, I mean, we're talking like standing, you know, shooting star press. He did a big moonsault or something like that. I mean, he was fucking flipping all over, flopping all over the place.
It was crazy, for sure.
Definitely.
Number 6 was Dan the Dad.
Now, it was a while before we had any eliminations, by the way. And Dan the Dad is a hipster-looking dude that comes out, and he's got this mug that says, like, #1 Dad. He's got, like, a #1 Dad shirt on. He's got these goofy shorts he's wearing.
But on the #1 Dad shirt, he has the D scratched out, and he's got Dan, like a
Dan, #1 Dan, yeah. So, he also wore glasses and a dad hat, you know, for most of the match. And
some shorts, some jorts. The pockets were too long. His pockets were coming out. But that's not very daddish, but it was acceptable.
I mean, shorts are daddish, though. And he was very over, man. Dan the Dad was super over. And he came in and started punching dudes. And Atticus...
holding the coffee mug.
Yeah, while holding the coffee mug. He didn't spill a drop, but Atticus Kogar just drank all of his coffee and then threw the mug and hit the concrete floor and didn't even break.
Wow.
Yeah, it survived.
It's a good mug.
I know, man.
That's one that you keep for a while.
You know, and folks, if you'd like to get a really nice mug like that, they're guaranteed to bounce off concrete and be okay. The Road Home from Wrestling mugs are available at our Teespring store, which is actually in the link. The link's in the comments to this episode. So.
Links below.
Yeah, this
buy
below.
A shirt.
Links below. Buy a shirt, please.
Buy a shirt, buy a mug.
Seriously, do buy a shirt, though. You know?
Yeah, I have a nice... If you look for me in the background of this show, you can see one of the Teespring shirts that I have on.
See my Road Home from Wrestling pullover hoodie as well. So,
well, they can see more than they can see you.
Oh, okay.
I was in the shop.
Oh, okay.
Our next competitor at number 7 was the marvelous Matt Nix.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with this guy at all. You know, was that the guy that was wearing purple and came out to Purple Rain?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, he came out to Purple Rain. The crowd was singing Purple Rain. And he started fucking running wild on people right away. Yeah. I think he ended up being the first guy eliminated too, right?
So, the first guy eliminated.
But I think he was eliminated by the next guy that comes out, right?
Well, it was a sorceress.
Oh, okay, so not her.
Haley Cromwell.
Yeah, they gave her a different name, but we know her as Haley Cromwell, and she came out and she's got the magic, man. You know?
She's got the magic for sure.
She's definitely magical. And, you know, her kind of shit got interrupted by the next person that came out, right? And then we got to see some of her shit after that. What was the next person?
So next person out was the third member of Dr. McManus, his team.
Fair enough.
Formulation 006.
Yeah, it was like Goldberg with a mask.
It was like a dragon mask.
Yeah. This guy looks familiar as well. However, couldn't quite put her finger on it.
He had very distinct tattoos.
He did.
But, like, you know, I think if we maybe matched up, like, this tattoo with those tattoos, they might have some commonalities, but not totally.
Well, it's interesting because he wears the boots that The Rock wore, where you can see the calves, and he's kind of got the same tattoos as The Rock, but he wrestles like Goldberg in a good way, you know, not in a bad way. He's just like a fucking monster, destroying everybody, and he's the one who threw out Marvelous, what the fuck?
Yeah, so this is where we started getting our first eliminations. Marvelous Matt Nix went out first, followed by Dan the Dad.
Ooh.
And and then MB Young, followed by, well, we'll get to that one here. Oh, I think it was right here. Followed by, we had kind of a little bit of a distraction. This was a fun spot in the match where Cromwell uses her witchcraft to stop 006 from eliminating her from this match.
She did the Zach Morris. She just said freeze, and the people are like stop, and so that she stopped time.
She did, because 002 and 3 had both booted her in the head outside of the ring.
Brutal.
And they were holding her in position for 006 to come boot her in the face to eliminate her. She said stop. She got in the ring, pushed 002 and 3 closer together, and then started time back up, and 006 clotheslined 2 and 3 off of the mat and eliminated them at 4 and 5.
And after that, 006, he started charging Haley Cromwell, but she put her magic up again, but he fought right through it. He like got, and like, you know, it was like fighting through it, and it's like picked her up and like chucked her, right?
Yeah, he chucked her out. So she was eliminated at number 6. But then we had our 10th entry come to the ring after this. And it was Formulation 001, who seems like they are not a part of the team anymore. But they did look familiar.
Yeah. He looked like the owner of Bizarro Lucha.
He was stumbling to the ring. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did.
Like he might have had a few too many before the show.
He like rolled in the ring like a weirdo too. But,
yeah, I don't know.
But he got in, did a bunch of shit that was cool too.
He got in, but he went right back out.
Yeah, he did get eliminated.
Got eliminated pretty quick. Next out at number 11 was Dakota of Team Smash.
Yes, Dakota, who is just like a nerd dude. Like, he's got frizzy hair.
Suspenders.
Well, I don't know if he had suspenders. He definitely was wearing a tie, you know. And,
I thought he had like a bow tie and suspenders.
Really? Okay, fair enough. Well, he was dressed up like a nerd. He could barely get in the ring, too. He puts his hands up like he wants to fight, and he's like, I don't want to fight. And he just eliminated himself, right?
Well, he tried to.
Oh, that's right.
He tried to, like, he put his hand around his throat. He tried to, like, act like he was going to choke slam himself over the top rope. And so he made it over the top and was falling out of the ring. But Formulation 006 grabbed him, pulled him back in the ring, and just beat the crap out of him. And then he threw him over the top rope.
And then chucked him over the top rope. That's right.
He wanted the elimination. It's true. Not the self-gratification that Dakota wanted. At number 12, we had Alley Cat.
Yes.
Into the ring.
Alley Cat's super over. My goodness, I was very happy to see her. She's a member of Iffy, so we heard, you know?
We did, and I forgot that she was a part of Iffy.
Yeah. There's, like, everybody's a part of Iffy, man, you know?
I'm not.
Well, maybe one day.
I'm sometimes a lost boy.
I'm a lost boy!
And then we had our 13th and final entry into the match, which was the birthday boy, Nick Iggy.
Your best friend in the world, Big Nick Iggy.
I still had my hat on.
So Nick Iggy hid too, because we had a couple eliminations, and then we kind of lost track of where Nick Iggy was, and we're like, he must be hiding. You know,
he got like stiff punched or clotheslined by Alley Cat,
right?
And then he went and hid outside the ring.
That's right. Alley Cat got a huge meow, meow, meow chant going, and she would scream meow and like go do stuff. I mean, she's a tremendous wrestler. I really like Alley Cat. She's awesome.
I have a cat joke that I heard earlier today that I'd like to share with you.
Let's hear it.
What do you call a pile of kittens?
I don't know.
A meowton.
All right. Well, the first time I saw Alley Cat was, I think, back in like 2018, early 2018, actually at IWA Mid-South. And she was in a match that was okay, you know, and then she hasn't really been around this area that much since, other than like at Bizarro and places like that, you know, so she doesn't make it our way too often. But I was really happy to see her, because I think she's another one of these wrestlers that, like, you know, 2020 is going to be a huge year for her. Not that 2019 wasn't, because it was. I mean, she had a fucking death match with Nick Gage and shit. I mean, she's kind of done everything now, and so it's time for her to start moving up, and I can't wait to see what she does next. So it's great to see her. She's awesome. Love her.
I can't believe you just brushed over that great joke.
I didn't hear a joke. I heard you say words.
So eliminated at number 9 was Formulation 006, I believe by Alley Cat, correct?
Yes, she dumped him out. You know?
And he was pissed. He took out referee Sean.
He threw him into the fucking ring post, which was good to see.
I mean, he deserved it probably because, you know.
I don't know. You're a little hard on Sean. You know, I do like to see him get beat up. It's fun. You know, it doesn't happen very often. But I mean, you know, I still love Sean.
I mean, sometimes I want to see the action right in front of me, and Sean doesn't want me to see the action right in front of me.
Really? Because he's in the way? Is that what you're saying?
No, because he's trying to get the wrestlers back in the ring or
come
backstage.
On. Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah, because at the last show I saw him at, he's like, come on, guys, let's get back in the ring. And I'm like, no, leave it out here.
There were... One thing I do think is stupid that we saw several times in matches tonight were rope breaks. All right, if we're no DQ and we're no count out, the refs should just ignore anything with the ropes. Obviously, they can't win when they're in the ropes because it's not false count anywhere. But the ref can't stop them, and he did a bunch of times. Anyway, all right, I'll shut up about that. But back to this match.
Our 10th elimination was Alley Cat. I believe by Nick Iggy, right?
I think so. That's some heel shit that he would probably do. What a jerk. I don't care if it's his birthday or not. Kind of an asshole.
So, Ace Perry and Atticus Cogar had forgotten that Nick Iggy was in this match. So maybe he didn't eliminate Alley Cat. I don't remember who did. But those two were fighting on the apron.
It might have been Atticus, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, Atticus did jump her over.
There you go.
So Atticus and Ace Perry were fighting on the outside of the apron. They had both gone over the top rope. And so Nick Iggy, this kind of is our finish. Nick Iggy, he comes back in and he tries to clothesline both of them, but they pull the top rope down and he goes flying to the outside. And people start flicking him off and saying, fuck you and your birthday. And I'm offended because during his match earlier, I sang the entirety of Happy Birthday to him. Because that's how much I respect him.
It's weird.
But Cogar is able to get back in the ring. He hits his, face planting, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a...
I'm not sure.
It's like a skull-crushing finale of sorts, where he drives Ace Perry's face into the mat it's like a Canadian face driver to the mat.
Why? Because it was through the ropes or something?
It was through the middle rope,
yeah. I got you. Well, it was a DDT, John. That was just a DDT.
But it was a front-facing
DDT.
DDT.
It was a reverse DDT, it was awesome. That was
so he does that through the middle rope. So technically, Ace Perry has still gone over the top rope. So Cogar kind of pushes him back out and then pushes him off the mat and secures the victory. And he now has a championship match for the Luchaversal Championship.
Any title he wants, actually.
They said
any title that he wants at any time that he wants.
Okay. So he now has pretty much an opportunity at whatever he wants.
I like that they didn't call it the golden ticket or the golden opportunity or the opportunity box or whatever the fuck. I like that it's not called anything. It's just called, he can do this. Cool. Thanks.
He's got a contract to do whatever he wants.
Thanks. We don't need a stupid name for it. I'm tired of promotions that all have the same name. I don't know how many fucking golden tickets there are out there in indie pro wrestling. Enough with the golden ticket. So
everybody's been going through Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
I guess so, yeah. Good day, sir. You get nothing. But, so that was a lot of fun. And after that, we had the main event, right?
We did.
We had the main event of the evening. And the main event was a singles match. It was champion versus champion contested under normal wrestling rules. Who was in this match, John?
It was Calvin Tankman.
He's a tank, man.
The Luchaversal champion going against Warhorse.
That's right.
The ruler of ass.
He rules so much ass.
The IWTV champion.
That's right, man. Warhorse is awesome. Didn't really get to headbang with him up close like I have in the past. but I got to headbang with him from far away. And so was everybody. You know, I gotta say, people were a little more on the side of Calvin Tankman than they were Warhorse here. However, there was plenty of people that wanted Warhorse to win, and this match was spectacular. It was awesome. We got to see Calvin Tankman do what he does. This is kind of like a normal style Calvin Tankman match where he's not necessarily, doing flippy shit and stuff like that like we've seen in the past. This is more of like a strong style type match, and that's what he had. And Warhorse is very good. It's your second time seeing Warhorse. What do you think?
I enjoy him. He's got a lot of charisma and attitude that is kind of unmatched with a lot of guys on the indie scene, I think. There's a few like big personalities, but he's like right up there with them.
He's a star, you know?
Yeah.
He's definitely a star. And Calvin Tankman's a star too. Calvin Tankman's another guy that was at those shows, 3-4 years ago that we used to go to and, in front of 14 people and see him wrestle Mance Warner and stuff like that. So, those guys have gone to war a bunch of times, and I've been there and witnessed a lot of it, which is awesome. We're not going to go through this play-by-play or anything like that because you need to watch the show. Go to IWTV, use whatever fucking promo code. We don't have one because they won't give us one, so. Use some kind of promo code, get 20 days free or whatever it is, or just order it. I ordered it, I broke down, I'm paying for IWTV now because it's pretty awesome. And I'm really, really having fun watching some of these shows. So, go back and watch this show. John, anything in particular that sticks out from this match? I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff going on.
There was a really fun spot where Warhorse was running at Tankman, and I don't even exactly remember how it all happened, but at some point, Tankman kind of just pops Warhorse up in the air, and the next thing you know, he's hitting him in a Tankman driver just out of nowhere. And it was like one of those spots where like, oh my god, did we just witness that?
It's a lot of awesome striking in this match too. We had Warhorse headbanging in the corner, and he likes it. That's funny too.
And he's teaching Tankman how to, bang a head in the corner.
That's right. They headbanged together, a couple times. That was pretty cool. But John, this had a complicated finish, kind of. Can you run this down for me?
So both competitors were kind of upset that the referee kept trying to tell them that, hey, this is contested under standard rules. And so apparently the wrestlers were just as confused as some of the crowd members were. And so they both kept getting mad at the referee when they tried to stop some of the action. So eventually both of them grabbed the referee and chucked him over the top rope into the crowd. And, he landed on a couple of different fans. And I was nervous, because they tell you to get out of the way of the action. And these clowns were just like, I'm going to stand in front of the action.
Yeah, they were clowns.
And so after they chucked him over the top rope, then things started to break down. And Dr.
Magnanimous,
him and his henchmen came running out, and they started taking out Calvin Tankman. And so they kind of worked over him a little bit, and eventually the group from Team Smash runs in and takes out the Doc's crew. And so as those guys are all fighting to the back, then Atticus Kogar comes out with a plastic bag.
Yeah, a Kroger bag.
It was a Kroger
fucking
bag.
Kroger's.
Plug Kroger.
Oh, fuck Kroger's.
My mom works at Kroger.
Hey, man. Well, when she was in training, did they teach her how to, when you see a customer, walk straight towards them. Make them get out of your way. Don't get out of their way. And in fact, if you see them getting in line and it's your lunch break, cut in front of them and make sure you get there,
Well, she works in the bakery in Delhi, so she doesn't really, she stays behind the counter.
Yeah, but when she walks around, she's going straight for a customer, right?
She's been for there fucking 32 years.
So she knows better than anybody.
If she wants to cut you off, she's going to cut you off, okay?
See, that's how that works. There you go. They're
Show
better
her some
than us.
respect. She's been there 32 years, okay?
Fuck Kroger's.
So Atticus comes out with a Kroger bag and he says, hey, fuck Kroger, I'm going to use this to try and murder someone. And so he puts the bag over Tankman's face and tries to suffocate him.
Yeah.
But who came out to help Tankman?
Dramatic pause. Who was it? Dramatic pause.
Mance freaking Warner.
That's right.
And he comes out and he starts stiff punching Atticus in the face and make sure that he knows that he means business and that you're not going to take out Tankman because they respect, had enough battles that they now respect each other. And that if anyone's going to beat up Tankman, it's going to be him. But first, he wants to beat up you, Atticus Kogar. So he lays down a challenge and says, I want to fight you first. And Tankman says, hey, if you're going to mess with me and my life and my family, I want to beat your ass too. But Mance says, I got first dibs. And so they kind of hang out. They talk about grabbing beers after the show. And that kind of wraps the things up.
Yeah, we didn't get an official announcement on what the finish of the match was, but I'm assuming it's
no contest.
Yeah, no contest, no finish, whatever, which was only going to happen if they had changed the rules. So, and that makes a lot of sense because we don't want to bury our champions. We don't want them getting pinned and stuff. So, it's a smart deal as far as that goes. John, what are your thoughts on your first experience at Bizarro Lucha?
So I was a little nervous about not necessarily the standing the whole time, because I've been to concerts where I have to stand the whole time and I'm fine with that. But I was nervous about there's no barricades and you're just right on the ring. But it was a fantastic experience, and I didn't feel ever like I was in danger of being hit by a wrestler, because I've been to enough of these shows, I know when to get the heck out of the way. But I love the atmosphere, I enjoyed the crowd, and I loved just being so close to the action. I felt like it was very intimate, but enjoyable, and I liked the whole weird, bizarre world that we entered for Bizarro Lucha. What about you?
I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally decided to come out to this place. Really sad we missed the last show. The last show had Mike Quackenbush on it. He's been on this, podcast a couple times if you go back in the archives. But I've never met him in person, and I really wanted to meet him in person. But I was, very happy. The in-ring work was outstanding. We got to see lots of people that we know. I'm trying to see Mance Warner every chance I can get, because it won't be long before you can't see him at all, other than on TV or something like that. I mean, it just feels like that's the way that it's going. So, I'm really happy to see him and a bunch of our pro wrestling family there. What was it? I believe it was Trip Cassidy that said something pretty neat. He was talking on the mic, when he was talking about Lee Moriarty, and he said, hey, wrestling's my happy place, and it turns out it's all of your happy places too. And it's my happy place, and I really like that. And it was fun to be in the same room with a bunch of people that are very, very different. The crowd was extremely diverse, which was pretty cool, and all of us had one thing in common, and that it's that squared circle, brother, and the fact that we're all fascinated with it. So that was a lot of fun. I had a blast at Bizarro Lucha. I'm really happy to see a lot of new faces, maybe. We're not sure, up there and everything. And we hope to come back at some point. We did find out that the next show is actually on the same date as another show that would be during the day, and we would have to do a double shot just like we did today to make both shows. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. At that point, I may have quit podcasting altogether because I'm just so tired. And I just want to, die because I've done so much podcasting. But
I'm not quite there yet, so you might find me there.
John, this is episode 402 today.
Yes.
I haven't been on every single episode, but I've been on 370 of them or something like that. So
I'm at 73 or 74 now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, and
I'm just trying to pass up Dean.
Well, you might have. Yeah, I don't know. I miss Dean. I wish Dean would come back to the show more.
I've definitely passed up Gary at this point.
Yeah, definitely passed up Gary, but, Gary rules. Legendary Gary B. Anyway, all right, well, you guys, you can support our show by following us on the Twitter and all that shit. We are at The Road Home FW. That's on all social media platforms, every single one of them, all of them that exist, even Tout. And, and John, where can folks follow you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at jhat05.
You can follow me at Drucifer Tweets, and we really appreciate any new listeners that are listening to the show tonight. And hopefully you'll tell your friends about us. Leave us a review on iTunes. That is very, very important to us. We really appreciate it. And if you go back in the archives, you're going to see a lot of people that you like have been on this show. You know, Marty and Sarah have both been on this show. Cole Cabana's been on this show. Jerry Lynn's been on this show. Lanny Poffo, Hornswoggle. I mean, we've had a who's who of wrestlers on this show, and you never know who's going to pop up next for one of our interview episodes. So we really appreciate everyone listening. Thank you so much for listening.
Sayonara.